Hello family and friends and fellow YouTubers, it's Kim here from Kim's Country Corner. Well, this weekend I am out at the Hancock Homestead because it is time to pick and preserve the corn. John put in 8 rows of corn this year. The first 2 or 3 rows we have been eating on, but we have like 5 more rows that need to be picked and preserved. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, and the number one step is going to be picking this corn. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Oh, that one didn't snap off just too bad. Okay, so there we go. If they snap off, that's the easiest way to do it, but that one's a tiny one. Okay, well, family and friends, so I've already got 2 tubs picked here. I'm going to keep picking, but I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. And whenever I get finished, I will show you how much I was able to get out of the last 5 rows that we had to finish up. Okay, friends, so after picking the last 5 rows of corn, this is what I got. I got 2 large tubs that are in the wagon, a pan full, and then 1.5 baskets. So not too bad. Anyway, the next step is to husk the corn or take off the leaves. So I brought everything over here and I'm going to sit in that chair and do that. So I'll just show you a little bit of how I do that before we go on inside to start the processing. Alright, so now the next step is to take off the leaves to husk the corn, and so basically I'm just going to be sitting here most of this morning just taking these leaves off until you get down to the kernels. Like so. Alright, and then after I get down so far, then I just snap this off. Oh, well, come over here. Yeah, because you're like right in the way. Okay. There we go. Good corn is going to go into the basket. Alright, let's show our friends how we do another one. I know, you just want to be right in Mama's lap, but you know what? I have to get this corn done today. Yeah. We'll play later. Alright, I'm showing my friends how we husk corn. You know, I haven't yet figured out how to use those paws of yours to weed or pick corn or husk corn. You're good at eating it though, aren't you? You like to take those used cobs and haul them around. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to show you the whole process here because that would take forever. But anyway, I just take a corn, I pull off the leaves. Whoa. Pull off the leaves, get as much hair off as I can. Alright, I'm putting all the scraps in this wheelbarrow. That'll make it really easy to push all these scraps away. And then I'm putting the good corn into my basket. I know. Alright, so this is what Paulo and I are going to be working on this morning. And then this afternoon we'll go in and we're going to process it. And last year I did both canning and freezing, but after a year of trying it that way, Paulo, don't you? All right, here you go. Okay, so Paulo is over there enjoying his corn, and I'll show you a snapshot of that. I gotta sacrifice one ear of corn if I'm gonna keep him out of the rest. Anyway, I'm gonna continue working on husking this corn, and then we'll go in and we'll process it. Now last year I did both canning and freezing, but after doing it last year, we decided we really liked the freezing method better. And not only do we like the method better, but we like the way it tastes better. So we're just gonna freeze this year. All right, but before we can freeze, we have to get all of this husk. All right, I'll be back. Alright, so as you can see, I have been working on husking the corn. Anyway, taking the husk off the corn. You really kind of want to do this outside because it makes a mess. But I wanted to tell you that when you get down to the bottom of the corn, to the kernels here, okay, you want to like snap this off. And then try to get rid of as much of the corn hair or the corn silk as you can. It will come off when you're blanching it, but it's better to get rid of as much of it out here as you can because it makes a real mess. Paulo, you're kind of at a bad spot there, sweetie. Yeah, because as I go over your head, I'm dropping corn silk on you. I know. He says, but if I can get that occasional pat. Okay, so family and friends, as you can see, I have been husking this corn, taking off the outer leaves. I've gotten both baskets and I'm down to the pan, and then I'll just have the tubs left. But I wanted to tell you that when you do this, it's best to do it outside because it does make a mess. And basically, I'm taking off these outer leaves here, okay, all the way down to the kernels, like so. And then I snap that off, okay? And this is the important part, is that you want to try to get as much of that corn hair off, the silk, as you can. It will come off in the blanching process, but it makes a mess inside, and it's just best to get as much of it off outside as you can. Oh, you're kind of in a bad spot. Yeah, because every time I go this way, I drop corn hair on you. And you're like, I don't care, as long as I get that occasional pat. And don't worry about me touching Paulo and the corn. This corn's going to be thoroughly cleaned, and then in the blanching process, it will, you know, get sanitized at that point in time too. So, all right, he says enough of that. All right, there we go. Paulo's really good. Come here, Paulo. Come here. I want to brag on you. So, here, sit. Can you sit? Sit, boy. Good boy. Okay, so Paulo, he deserved his ear of corn because he is really good at keeping those raccoons away. We had a friend that lost her whole, well, I think she put in 4 rows, but she lost her whole plot of corn to a family of raccoons in one night. I felt so bad for her. But anyway, Paulo's really good at keeping those raccoons away, and the deer, and the rabbits. He just barks and chases them away. Now, he has killed a couple of raccoons. If they don't listen to his warning bark, he will go after them, especially if they're around the chickens. But the deer and the rabbits, you know, they just kind of stay away from him, and he's, you know, he kind of chases the rabbits, but he's never killed them. So, anyway, that's just a little side note to let you know that Paulo did earn that ear of corn, because he did help to protect it. Alright, so like I said, just make sure you try to get as much of that corn silk off here as you can while you're husking, so that you don't have it all in your water later on. Yeah, I will probably have to change clothes later. Alright, so now I just have the 2 big tubs, and then we'll be ready to process. Okay, family and friends and fellow YouTubers, it's Kim here from Kim's Country Corner, and today I'm out at the Hancock Homestead. I just got finished picking corn and husking the corn, and now I'm going to get ready to process the corn. And this year I'm just going to be freezing it. I brought in my first basket here, and the first thing I want to do is just kind of rinse these off. And while I'm rinsing these off, I'll be getting some hot water ready back here in my stock pans to do the blanching. Blanching is just where you slightly cook it, and then you stick it in cold water very quickly to cool it off to stop that cooking process. And then we'll be slicing off the kernels and packing it into freezer bags. But first thing first, I need to get my water started. These stock pans that I have work really well for this. So, while we're waiting for the water, tell me in the comments below which way you like to do corn. Do you like to can it? Do you like to freeze it? Do you like to freeze it on the cob or off the cob? Which way do you do your corn? Okay, so I have my 2 stock pots of water back here on the stove, preparing to boil so that I can blanch. And I'm going to take this corn over here to give it a first wash. So let me bring you over a little bit closer. Alright guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm just giving this first batch of corn here a good little scrubbing. It doesn't have to be super good because you are going to be blanching it. But what this will do is it'll help remove more of that corn silk. Okay? Remove any little corn worms that might be stuck to the corn. I didn't see any when I was out there husking it, but could be. And then of course remove my Paulo dog germs, although he pretty well kept away from it. But we're just going to go ahead and just give it a really quick scrub, because see, that corn silk just comes right off. But if I get any, I just kind of make a little pile of it. Okay, so just a couple little scrubs, and then it goes over into the pan. Just one time all the way around. Get rid of the corn silk, and put it into the pan. I did scrub my sinks this morning and bleached them really well, so they're clean. The corn happens to fall down into the sink, no big deal. It's a clean sink. See, I don't know if y'all can see that black thing right there, but that was kind of a little bit cornworm, so I'm going to get him off of there. Okay. Alright, so while this is filling up with cold water, I'm going to transfer the corn into the stock pots. Alright, so the water is boiling. Okay, stop there. I'm gonna get some ice cubes to go over here in my sink. Alright, so there's my timer. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift this corn out of here because I can reuse this water for the next batch. And I'm just going to stick it over here in my ice water. Alright, so out of the stock pot into the cold water. Yes, I make a drippy mess on the floor, but I have a towel down there. So. Alright. Now, while I'm waiting for the corn to cool off, I'm going to be putting more corn in. Alright, I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute. And I'm letting this cool. Okay, so here is all of the corn in the ice water cooling off. Alright, so the next step is going to be to cut the kernels off the corn. So let me get you set up for that. Alright, so to set up for cutting the kernels off the cob, I like to use a cookie sheet and a bowl. And then you will also need some freezer bags. Make sure that they say freezer bags, and we like to use the gallon size. Alright, and so for this part, you just put the cob on your bowl like this, and then start slicing down the side, trying to get as close to the cob as you can. It takes me 1 or 2 to really get the swing of it, because when you get the swing of it, they kind of stick together like that. Alright, and then just lay that down and brush that off, and you're ready for your next cob. John's much faster at this part than I am, but it's got to be done, and I want to show you, so here we go. You want to make sure you have a nice sharp knife for this. I like using the bowl because it raises the corn up to my level more. Plus you're not trying to do this in the corn. So it just works out nice having this bowl. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out a cup. Alright, and then I'm going to fill this bag about halfway full. Okay, so this much, that was about 5 cups, and I used 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. 11 ears of corn to get 5 cups and half a bag. Well, a little more than half a bag because I still got some on here. Anyway, that's what I'm going to keep doing is just slicing the kernels off these cobs, filling the freezer bags full. Okay friends, so I just wanted to show you that I am still going at this. This is my, let's see, 3rd batch. I've already got 4 bags in the ice box waiting for the next step. 2 more out here. So as soon as I get this pan done, I'm going to take a break and let John have a turn. So he likes to help, he just doesn't like to be on video very much. He will a little bit, but not much. Okay friends, well I have this batch finished and there's a lot more to do, but I'm going to stop and take a lunch break, have a frozen pizza, take a lunch break, and then I'll probably send John in to do some more later on. And at the very end I will show you what I do to get these ready for the freezer, because we're not quite finished. They are in the freezer bags, but there's another step that I like to do before I put them into the freezer, but I like to do them all at once. So I'm going to go ahead and seal these up, put them in the ice box, and then I'll bring you back whenever we get ready for that final step. And at that point in time, we'll see how many bags of corn we got from our field this year. All right. All right, I'll be back. Okay, family and friends, so we have finished processing the corn today. We have picked it, we have husked it, taken off the outer leaves down to the kernels. We have brought it in and cleaned it. We have blanched it. Blanching is where you cook a fruit or vegetable for like 1 to 2 minutes very quickly, and then you put it into ice water to stop that cooking process, and it just kind of like is a pre-measure. So we blanched it. We have sliced the kernels off the cob, and we have bagged it. So now all that's left to do is to get the bags air-free and put them in the freezer. And we used up all 20 bags, plus we had just about a small bowl left, so we just decided to go ahead and eat it fresh. But anyway, to do the corn, we were putting 4-5 cups in each bag. Most of the time it was 4. Sometimes I'd lose count and I think I added 5. But anyway, most of the bags have this much corn in them. Okay, 4 cups. So as you look at each bag, you're going to see that they have about 4 cups of corn in them. And we dated them with the month and the year. We eat this so fast, we really would not need to do that. But it's always a good idea to date your preserves. Okay, so the next thing to do is to get the air out of these bags. And the way that I like to do it is you seal up the bag, and these are freezer bags. Make sure you have freezer bags. So you seal up the bag all the way to the very corner. Then you slide a straw down in there. And this roasting pan here is filled with just lukewarm water. It doesn't have to be cold, it doesn't have to be hot, because it's not the temperature of the water that does the process, it's the weight of the water. So you take your bag and you put it down into the water, and you gently squeeze the air out. And you want to make sure that you do not get this top part down underwater. You do not want water inside, okay? So that's also one of the reasons you really only fill your bags part way, because you want to leave a lip up there if you're going to use this method. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm using the weight of the water to help me push out any air that's in there, okay? Then I bring that up, make sure that's sealed. Alright, and then I take my straw out, I seal it the rest of the way, and when you bring that out, you can see how nicely that bag sealed all the way around. Now if you have a sealer, then by all means use it, but if you don't have one of those sealers, this is kind of an alternative method. So I just used the water to help me seal that. And then I put it in the ice box like this. And there we go. So that's what I'm going to be doing with all of these bags. I have 20 bags of corn. Each bag has approximately 4 cups, maybe 5, if I wasn't counting closely, of corn. So that's very easy. After you get to this point, you're just sealing up your bags. Seal up your bag down there to that straw. Okay, and then using the weight of the water, we're going to push out that excess air. And you can see that there is air up there on the top, but that straw is going to let that air escape. I sort of press on the corn down at the bottom to kind of make it into a brick. It helps to stack it in the ice box. Alright, and then I have another brick of corn. Last year I think I did them a little bit flatter. But this year we have so many, I think I'm going to go ahead and use my brick method, as I call it. If you want the flat method, here's what you can do. Seal that up. Get it flat. Actually, that might store better. Flat. Well, except it's easier to put it in the water if it's not flat. Alright, so if you want the flat method, you seal that up. Okay? Or you lay it down, you flatten it out. Put your straw in. And then you lay the bag down in the water. Make sure you don't get your lip down into the water though. And then you just use the water to help seal in, help push the air out and seal that in. See, it's easier, to me it's easier to, but it depends on how you want to make room in your refrigerator. But you can see that that is pretty well sealed. And then you can lay it in there like that. But anyway, I'm using the brick method because I think it's going to work better for us. Alright, so let me show you up close how I do this. Alright, so I start with a bag of corn here. I seal the top all the way across. Can you hear it snapping up there? Snap, snap, snap. And then I leave room for the straw. Stick the straw down in there. Okay? So just seal it up to the straw. Alright. Then I push it down into the water, squeezing out air as I go, pushing the corn down into a rectangle as I go. Kind of using my hands to form that corn into a rectangle and pushing out the air. Okay. Then, after I have my rectangle made, I take my hand and I move it up the side of the wall of the roaster. Once again, pushing, making sure that seal is sticking and pushing out any air. And then, at the very end, I take out the straw, close up the hole, and then when you bring that out, you can see that seal across there. Okay, and then I just flip that over and I have another corn brick. And see, those are going to stack nicely just like bricks. Okay, family and friends, so I'm down to the last bag of corn for this season. And you know, some of you are thinking, wow, that takes some time to squeeze all the air out of those bags, but it doesn't really take any more time than if I was canning it. So really, to me, this is the preferred method, is to freeze it. And I mean, I guess you wouldn't necessarily have to do this step as long as you get the air out. That's the important part. But this method is so much easier and so much more user-friendly and tastes better than the canning method. Canning is good for a lot of things, but if I'm doing corn from now on, it will be freezing it. Because it just tastes better to me, to us. Corn will not be the only thing I'm preserving this year. I'm also going to can some tomatoes, because canning is good for a lot of things, so I'm going to be canning some tomatoes, making my homemade salsa and canning it. And then depending on the apple supply, I might be making some apple butter or apple sauce. Now, apple sauce is another good thing to freeze if you don't want to can it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens down the road. Okay, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 bags of corn. Okay, so I'm very happy with what we have. As you can see, they're going to stack nicely. Now, we'll probably just keep them in our freezer up here, but in case you're wondering, we do have a small chest freezer down in the basement that we used to use for freezing and for, we used to buy meat and freeze it, But we've kind of gotten away from that, and now we just keep it in the freezer up here. Anyway, this is it for this video. So if you liked seeing my vlog today of all the steps it takes to go from picking the corn to freezing the corn, then please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know more about what's going on in my corner of the world, hit that subscribe button to Kim's Country Corner. And I want to give a shout out to Cheryl at Cheryl's Country Home, because she gave me this apron a couple of Christmases ago, and I just love it because of the hummingbirds. I don't know why I didn't think to put it on earlier, but I remembered it for this part because I always get water everywhere. So anyway, thank you for being here, and I will talk to you all later. Bye for now. I'll show you what they look like when I get them in the freezer. Okay friends, so here it is in the freezer. It's a good thing we didn't have any more, or else I might have had to have John plug in that freezer downstairs. But as long as there's room for my corn dogs and tater tots, my frozen pizzas, these are my quick meals when I'm out here, and John's ice cream, we're good. So